People who are watching this webinar may be in 3 different positions. You may have already applied to one of the colleges and have been assured of your position because you've attended interview before lockdown. If that's the case, brilliant. There are people who are going to fall into a second category here who've applied since lockdown, and as we've been able to give you a face-to-face interview, those people will be receiving a phone call or communication either last week or this week and perhaps into next week, just to firm up some details. You may fall into the third category, and that is you haven't yet applied, but actually after watching this webinar, or in the meantime, you may decide that you'd now like to make an application. And the important thing is that applications are still open for both colleges within the group, so for St Helens or for Knowsley. Now, to apply, you just go to that particular college website. So this slide is actually showing the Knowsley College one, which is knowsleycollege.ac.uk. For St Helens, it is sthelens.ac.uk. Within both of those websites, there is a tab for Apply Now. Please use that tab and apply if you're in the third category. Now, the most important thing that I'm going to say as part of my short presentation here is it is so important that we have your correct correspondence details, so email address and phone number, because the way that we're communicating any information at all about college is via those 2 means, usually email. So if you previously applied, you've maybe not using now that email address, or if it was perhaps the parents or carers, as long as we have an email address that we can contact you with, that's fine, but just make sure we have the correct one for you. And the same with the phone. It could be a mobile phone, it could be a house line, whichever. As long as we've got the details, we will let you know. Now, people are coming up with questions about enrolment. At the moment, we're not certain of what enrolment will look like, but it will be taking place. There could be some elements online. There may be all face-to-face. We're uncertain at the minute, but again, we will be transmitting to you the advice about enrolment via either email or text. So you are here to learn a little bit more about floristry or horticulture, but again, these are just some of the courses which the college group has, as well as a number of apprenticeships. And the best way to gain more information about apprenticeships is by visiting either of the college websites. So again, knowsleycollege.ac.uk, St Helens.ac.uk, and tipping on the apprenticeship tab. Both of the college websites have got a particular tab called Job Shop, and they will tell you any on live apprenticeships which we have at the moment. College Pays is the way which we support college students. It's been a particularly mad year this year, and we understand everyone dealing with coronavirus, and if you are in year 11, your education, if you like, has been cut short early, so you'll have missed out on the chance to sit exams, you'll have missed out on the chance to perhaps have your leaving prom, so we're aware of that, but what I need you to know is that we are going to support you in any way which you can once you do come to college. So if you're age 16 to 18, there will be free course fees, a free breakfast, and that's as long as you get to college in good time. So for instance, if you're due a 9 o'clock start, we would expect you to be in college ready for learning at 10 to 9 at the latest. And in that case, you can access your free breakfast. There are a number of free college buses which come into college and take you home from different routes around St Helens and Knowsley. A free college bus pass, which will get you in term time travel if you want to use public transport. Microsoft Office 365 and various student discounts. So these people here are the safeguarding and wellbeing team, and as I've mentioned, it's been a strange year for everybody, but these people in particular have got really good skills in things like helping people with mental health, financial problems, homelessness, and so on. They will be in college, and you can make links with them as soon as you start. And in fact, if anyone has got any particular difficulties, they want to link with them beforehand, if you just send me an email, I will put my email in the chat facility. I can link you with one of these people now to aid in your transition. And finally, get social with us. Both Knowsley and St Helens use Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and have most of the up-to-date information via our web pages, so please use those facilities. Okay, that's my short welcome, if you like. So I'm now going to pass you to, is it Suzanne first?
Yeah, if you want, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Suzanne is going to talk about floristry, and then we're going to pass you over to Rob after that, who's going to talk about horticulture.
Okay. Right, so I'm Suzanne Foster, leader of the Floristry programme. As part of the course, you'll be studying a level 2 diploma in floristry. That consists of 10 units that you will have to complete throughout the year. Each one is credit based and each one is marked pass, merit and distinction. The units that you'll be covering will be an art and design unit, which looks at the colour wheel, different days in the calendar for the floristry, like Easter, Christmas, Halloween, anything that we can celebrate where flowers are actually needed. We look at different cultures in floristry, what arrangements they'll need for different countries, because they like specific colours, flowers, designs. So we'll be looking into that, and also into the art and design and the elements and principles of design of how to construct the designs that you will be making. Unit 202 is identify, check and monitor the quality of incoming materials. That is, we have a delivery of flowers on a Monday where you'll be learning all the cut flower names, the botanical names, the common names, and how to look after them. You'll also be looking at how to cost the flowers that they come in, from the wholesale price through to what you're going to be selling them at the retail price. Assessment for this is actually the conditioning and the identification of the cut flowers. And that is the assessment for that. So that one's, you'll be working on assessments throughout that unit. Unit 203 is a little bit similar to the cut flower one, except this is plants. So it's pot plants, and you'll be learning different names of pot plants using botanical names. You will be looking at what conditions the plants need so that you can put the same plants that like the same environment and atmosphere and water together. And then we come on to the practical units. So you've got 4 practical units here now. You've got tide designs, funeral designs, arrangements and wedding designs. Each one is, the basis of each unit is set out exactly the same, such as the paperwork and the knowledge. For the hand-tied unit, you've probably got 15 different designs to construct for that unit, which you'll construct in class. As you're in class, the tutor will be showing you how to make that design, where you'll be taking notes of how to make that. You will be taking a photograph, you're going to sketch the design, you've got to cost it, evaluate it, and we've got to look at the suitability, care and storage and transportation for that design. So all that is needed to be put into your assignment. The end assignment for these units, for all 4 of the practicals, are all set out the same. You have a task A, which wants you to have 5 designs that you've already covered in class with all that information that I've just listed. Plus also, additionally, you've got 4 assessment pieces which are done in class. And these are timed, and depending on how long it takes, as long as you have covered all the mandatory points in that design, then you'll get a pass. The more points you get, obviously it'd be a merit or a distinction. Then from all that, you're just going to produce a portfolio to hand in for marking. The funeral one is one of the biggest units. There's probably about 18 to 20 pieces in that funeral unit that you've got to cover. Again, the same way that we do it is demonstrations. You write everything down that you've learned and how to construct it. The arrangement unit is a smaller unit again, so this is about 15 designs, and again that unit is set out the same. You've got your task A's and you've got your 4 assessment pieces. Then the next one, weddings, well, that is another big one, and that's probably about 18 to 20 pieces, if not more. And again, taking all the notes of when we demonstrate and putting it all together. So you're ending up with different portfolios. We usually start with the hand-tied and the arrangement unit, which will be done from September up till Christmas. So those 2 will be done before we finish for the break at Christmas, and then you'll be starting your funeral and your wedding. Along these, on the other days that you'll be looking at display of floristry goods, which you'll be put into groups, come up with themes for displaying goods, so like a Christmas window, Valentine's, Easter, any sort of function that we can use in floristry, and you're going to be in the group, come up with ideas and designs to put in a window display, and then as in your group you're going to set it up as well. So you're assessed as really as you're going along from the start of planning your window to the end of when it's finished and taking it down. Unit 209 is working in the industry. In this, we look at health and safety, risk assessments, accident reporting. We look at doing a CV, letter of application, looking at making posters, flyers, spreadsheets to show different workings out for your flowers. Now, also with this 209, you've got a mandatory work placement to do, so which is 40 hours. So it's a minimum of 40 hours you've got to do throughout the year. That can be done either each week or in blocks. Now, a lot of our students do it each week, probably from half term onwards, October half term, where they might just do 4 or 5 hours a week and just build up from that. Some of the students just carry on. Once they've done the 40 hours, they carry on and do the full year just to get the experience and the knowledge of working in an actual florist. A lot of the florists that's on the placement have actually been taken on part-time as well and carry on working. And a lot of the florists take them on as well over the busy periods such as Christmas and Valentine's Day and Mother's Day. So they get a wide range of different events that's going on in the year. So you could be in the shop when it's quiet, but then you could be in when it's very, very busy. And the last unit, 210, is function decorating, which is looking at pew ends, cake tops, function arrangements for tables, for buffet arrangements and themed arrangements. And again, with that one, you've just got 4 assessments to do. As part of your course, on the study programme for the 16 to 18s, you will be to do maths and English, again, dependent on what your results will going to be when you get those. You'll do your main vocational programme, which will be the floristry. You'll be expected to attend a tutorial hour, which again is mandatory. The work experience, we already do that, so you'll be doing that as part of your vocational programme, and there's also enrichment opportunities. So we know roughly you may be in college probably about 3 days a week at this moment, depending on where the different classes come in. And as a college, we expect 100% attendance to your sessions. During the time at college, you'll be developing your knowledge, skills and attitudes. Attendance is 100%. If you are not going to be attending, we need to let the tutor know by email or through the college absence line. If attendance falls, then you will be, we will have to get in touch with you or your parents to see why you were not attending. We have to keep on top of this attendance so that you don't miss too much of your course and fall behind. The next few slides now are bits of the units that you'll be covering. So you've got the art and design unit. So there's some colours like colour wheels. They're all painted. You've got sketching to do. There's like culture on that one. So that's 201. The assignment for that is more of an art folder that you'll be putting together. Conditioning, identifying the different cut flowers by the genus, species and varieties. Your pot plants, learning to find pot plants that fit into different settings at the home. Different hand ties for different events. Funeral work, everything from loose wreaths, crosses to the based crosses, hearts, double-ended sprays for coffins and things like that. Different styles of arrangements, modern ones, traditional, ones that can do for Christmas, candle arrangements. Wedding work, everything from buttonholes, corsages, hand ties, all traditional, but also we'll do modern designs as well into that unit. Display, you will come up with displays, sketches, ideas, and then putting the actual design together. And then a workplace, working in the industry. As part at the top of this, you can see that someone's done a workplace diary. So that's part of the assignment for your work placement, is to write a diary of what you're actually doing while you're in the placement, along with any pictures of designs that you've done or anything you want to add to it. And then in the corner, there's like different labels that people have made. And then finally, function decorating. Again, looking at different things in different settings, churches and hotels, receptions. And as I said earlier, 40 hours in the placement, where you'll generate evidence for tasks for your 209, working in the industry unit, where at the end of your placement, you've got to get a report filled in by your employer to say that you've done it. And then again, if like Linda said, you can get in contact us through the different websites or emails. And again, I'm sure my email will be coming up at the end if you need any more information. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Sue, right. Horticulture. Sue's covered some of the stuff there. That is a general thing, so I'm going to just be a bit more specific to horticulture. Just get this up. Okay. So horticulture in general. I'm Rob Hogan. I teach the college-based students. Two of my colleagues who are not here, Darren Arrowsmith and Carl Appleton, deliver the same qualifications, but usually in off-site settings. So that tends to be adults rather than 16 to 18s. I'll just scroll through here. So in terms of the courses that we've got, a lot will depend what your interest is. They're all general courses, so like an introduction, but we do have what we call practical horticultural skills and then work-based horticulture. The topics that you study will be the same. You may well be in the same class as people on different programs, but the differences come whereby the assignments and the written work that you have to do goes up in degrees of difficulty according to which level you're doing. So let's see what we've got. Linda's already mentioned a lot of that there in the introduction, so I won't go over and over again through that. The same thing, same with Sue. Let's get to the actual qualifications. So the first one there you can see is the Diploma in Practical Hort Skills Level 1. Generally suitable for school leavers or those with no previous gardening skills, and also really depending on how you've done at school. If you've not done as well as you would wanted to do, and obviously you've not had a chance to do exams, then maybe the level 1 would be suitable for you. The emphasis is on practical skills. There is only a really small amount of portfolio written work in terms of what you're actually tested on. It's less than 5% of the whole qualification. Although, like I said previously, you'd be working generally within a class of people who are studying at higher levels, so you'd still be expected to take part in the class and submit work. It's just that the written work for the qualification is only a little small amount. Okay, so the practical skills consist of some mandatory modules, which involves preparing the ground for sowing and planting, establishing container grown plants outdoors, prepare the soil and apply mulch, a mulch being sort of like a compost or bark chippings, something that you place over the surface of the soil to prevent weeds. And then general watering activities, both on indoor plants, container grown plants and outdoor grown plants as well. Most of the written work is attached to those mandatory units in terms of a series of short answer questions based on what we would study in class, and generally can be answered usually either as short answers or as multiple choice questions as well. Excuse me. There are a large number of optional units, and if you are doing the diploma, your program will be based over 2 days. Yeah. Generally, one of those days would be practical initially, and one would be classroom based. But as the year progresses, so as you start in September, it's probably 50%, 50% in the classroom, 50% outside. As we get into the spring months, so from March onwards, March, April, May, June, then hopefully by then most of the written work has been completed. And obviously that's when the gardening season really kicks in sort of late March, early April. There'll be a lot more to do. So the qualification would then focus on the practical side of things 2 days a week. So, and that would, regardless of who's in the class, it would still be more of a seasonal thing. So we try to get the paperwork side of things done between September and February, with a little bit of practical and preparation work, and then the main body of plant maintenance comes in the spring and the summer months. So there's just a few of those option units there. As to which ones we do will depend on what facilities, resources and materials we've got, and whether we've got any ongoing projects on site. So that will be decided generally before you start as to which units you will do. So there's the 4 mandatory ones, and then there'll be an additional 14 optional ones for the diploma. Now, that might sound like a lot of units, but bear in mind, only 4 of those has any written work attached to them. The rest of them are all just hands-on practicals only. Okay, just to show you what you need to do, although it's practical, you have to achieve certain criteria within that. So I've just put up a selection there of that one is to do with ground cultivation. So that criteria there is taken directly from the qualification handbook, and you have to demonstrate each of those criteria so that you can select the correct tool, that you identify what needs to be done, that you can remove the weeds properly, cultivate the soil to the right depth, and so on and so on. The way that's delivered is we'll go outside and do a practical. It may take you 2 or 3 weeks to become what we call competent at it, and then we will give you a skills-based assessment on your performance. So generally it's over a period of time. So it's not just a case of, well, we're doing weeding today and that's it. You would do it over an extended period of time to improve the rate at which you do it and also the quality at which you do it as well. Okay. The second qualification, and again, is still the practical hort skills at level 2, but here the written work moves up a level. And if you're going to go straight to level 2 from school, then we would need good study skills, good GCSE grades to be able to cope with the additional written work that we have there as well. So the structure is slightly different. There are only 12 units, but each of those units is a little more involved, and every one of those units has an amount of paperwork attached to them. But rather than being short answer questions, they may well be a little bit more involved. So although you'd be in the same classroom as somebody doing level 1, what you have to develop from the classroom work is a bit more detailed. So those are currently the ones that we use for the Prac Skills level 2. So as you can see, ground preparation is common. In fact, all those tasks there will be common to both level 1 and 2. It's just the degree of difficulty and the number of tasks within each one becomes more involved as we go through. So we've got planting outdoors, again, caring for plants outdoors, recognition and control of pests and diseases, application of different types of fertilizers, the use of petrol hedge trimmers and also petrol lawnmowers, the actual production of a planting plan. So we're currently undergoing some redevelopment on the college site, and we'll get the students involved in coming up with the plans, planting plans for certain areas, so that it all knits in together as one big project. In addition, you will also study plant selection and plant identification, so the use of common names but also botanical names as well, and that is done all the way through the year. So you'll have certain plants at certain times of the year will be more identifiable depending on what they are, whether it's a tree or a shrub or what, perennials. The third option is the work-based horticulture, Diploma Level 2. This is also available as an apprentice route as well, where the attendance is slightly different. If you're as a college-based student, all 3 programs are based around 2 days a week attendance. Obviously with the apprentice it's slightly different. You're only in college for 1 day, but that's compensated by the fact that you're on your placement for 4 days. So the topics are all very similar to the Prac Hort skills, but the amount of academic work significantly is higher than the practical hort skills qualifications. But again, you'd still be in the same class, studying the same topics, but the amount of work you need to produce for the work-based is much more in depth. You'd need to produce profiles on pests, profiles on diseases. You'd need to be able to demonstrate your own planning skills for drawing plans and designs and costing up materials and getting in touch with suppliers and being able to work out not just how to plant an area, but all the planning behind it and everything else. So they will come into there. And again, the number of modules goes down because each individual module is more advanced than the practical hort skills. So those are the current, there's 10 modules there. Health and safety practices, where again we look at risk assessments and the use of PPE. Developing your personal performance in terms of being able to self-assess as well as improve over a period of time. Ground preparation and planting, which is common to everything, as is maintaining plants outdoors, removing unwanted plant growth such as weeds or pruning out dead stems. The use of handheld machines and tools, and identifying plants, and the emphasis with the work-based is that it's by Latin only. So it is where you would also need to have good study skills to be able to work using the Latin names as well. In terms of where the work takes place, generally across both campuses, i.e. at the town centre campus and also the technology campus, where most of our turf maintenance takes place. I'm not aware, or we haven't done it at the moment, we haven't done any work at Knowsley, but obviously if we get enough numbers from Knowsley, then that may be revisited at a later date. But currently the horticultural courses that are college-based will run at the St Helens campus. All the machinery that you use is of a good industry standard, maintained by our technicians, and there's sufficient stuff for you to actually use. And then we've got some examples here for you to have a look at. There's somebody at the top left there using a jet wash. We've got that's actually an apprentice there using one of the rotavators on the town centre campus. We've also got this ground preparation going on there, the use of a lawnmower, line marking and sports pitches, and also again on the picture on the right there, people doing general maintenance on the beds and borders around the college. We do also have some off-site groups as well. If you're college-based, you may occasionally get to work with those groups on off-site projects. But again, the work that is done is very similar. Going up. Project there on the left, we did it was a collaboration with an environmental group, and we went out and did some tree planting. That was last year. So there is a variety of tasks and practicals we do. We also work in one of the parks. One of my colleagues there was doing as you can see there, the spring bedding. These are bedding plants planted in the springtime. We've got some planted areas on site where we do that sort of thing. But again, there may be opportunities to go off site as well. And again, there we go. So these are actually working in an actual public park based in Warrington, but the students are actually bussed up by the college minibus and then brought back to college. So the starting point would always be the college as a base, and then move on to for wherever you're going on that particular day and time. Suzanne's already mentioned about the work experience. We go for a few more hours. We're looking, if you can get a work experience, we're looking to go up to 100 hours during the full year. Generally, it can also be done 1 day a week or in blocks during the holiday periods. It would be beneficial to anybody who's looking to join the horticulture to do some preliminary work into the kind of placement that they want. Maybe make some contacts that will show some enthusiasm towards an employer. We have got some placements, but if you leave it to us to organise your placement, you could be placed anywhere within the area. So if you're looking to somewhere where you can get to easily, then if you go and look for your own placements, which sets you into good stead, then that's a good starting point. Because you can go to a landscaper or a garden centre or a tree surgeon or any sort of what takes your fancy, rather than waiting for us to set one up for you as well. So, so that's the work placements. When we do start the course, we have got sufficient materials for all, but we do say that the 3 pieces of equipment there, you need to supply these yourself. It's not something that we want to share, especially with the current climate of COVID-19, in that you need to get your own set of safety boots or safety shoes. So they must have a steel toe cap in them. You need to supply your own gloves, gardening gloves, whether it be canvas ones or knitted ones, well, knitted like a material, plastic over the top, as long as they're suitable for outdoor use. And also for the amount of work you're doing outside, you'd also need a good pair of secateurs. Again, there may be assistance with this in the bursary to apply for some of this, but again, the boots and the gloves for any practical task outdoors or even indoors as well, you're going to need the boots and the gloves before you start the course. Okay, English and Maths, Suzanne's already mentioned. It's been mandatory. Generally, we try to fit it around the horticulture timetable, but again, it may well be that with the English and Maths and the 2 days horticulture, you could find yourself in college probably on 4 days at different times of the week, depending on what they are. Tutorials, Suzanne has already mentioned that as well. Generally, the tutorials are tagged onto the end of one of your program days, and you may well be mixed with the floristry students if you do floristry and horticulture mixed together. And that's it. Any questions?
Okay, great. I can see a couple of questions have come through for Rob. First of all, we've been asked, when you complete your level 1, do you go on to your level 2 straight away?
Not within the same year. No, you can only do 1 per academic year. So if you start in level 1 in September, your level 2 would start the following September. Okay, and does completion of level 1, I'm thinking behind the question here, does completion of level 1 automatically get you to level 2? Yes. If you complete level 1 in the first year, you're automatically entitled to go straight on to level 2, yeah. Okay, and then another question has come through, again for yourself, Rob. And a student has said here, he already has his placement. He's helping them out now. Right. He's had his interview. He's coming with his mum for his interview, as he has additional needs. So right. Suppose he's just letting you know he's keen. Right, good. If you've got the placement already set up, that saves a lot of messing about as well. Once we start in the college, with the college academic year, when we do start, I'll need the details of the placement, because we will have to do our own health and safety check before we can sign off any students attending. So that's usually a formality, as long as they've got public liability insurance, but we would have to do a separate health and safety check before he starts officially with that placement, once he's an enrolled student. So. Okay, good answer there. I'm just going to give a minute for attendees if they want to give any additional information here. As I say, we've had a couple of questions come through. Let me just see if there's another one. All right, okay. The placement is Wonky Gardens in Widnes. Right, okay. I don't know if you know Wonky Gardens. Oh no, it sounds a good name though. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. It sounds like it needs unwonking, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so I realise some more questions may come through, but
as Suzanne and myself have already put our email addresses in the chat facility, would you like to do that as well, Rob?
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
Just in case any more questions come through from students sort of once the webinar is finished. Okay, let me just see if there's any more here. Okay, so do you have anything you want to add, Suzanne?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, you're okay.
Actually, the only thing, if anybody wants floristry, it may not run for the study programme at Knowsley. They may have to attend St Helens to do that, only due to numbers at the moment for Knowsley.
Okay, so if you are perhaps, if you had applied to Knowsley and were hoping to apply at Knowsley,
yeah,
please still do, and there's the chance that it will run. It's just
yeah,
numbers dependent. But
yeah,
if not, it will run at St Helens. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, it's only part-time courses at Knowsley at the moment, so like 1 day a week so.
Oh right, okay. For some reason, the student can't see your email address. So, Rob, would you mind?
Yeah,
It's there, your email address that you'd like.
There's all panelists and attendees. So if we retype that, it should come up now. Hold on.
Okay. And perhaps if you just want to spell it out as well.
Yeah, it's R Hogan, all lowercase, RHOGAN at sthelens.ac.uk.
Okay, that's great. Okay, can you see that? The attendee is interested in that information. Just let us know. Yep, he's got that.
The little drop-down box at the bottom, it says panelists or attendees or both. So.
That's it. Okay, that's great. Well, I'm going to end the webinar now, unless there's, I'll just give you sort of 10 more seconds. But in the meantime, as I know sport need this channel in 10 minutes, I'll thank you attendees and thank you panelists for attending. This will be released as a webinar sort of electronically once it's been digitally altered and what have you. So if there's any questions or you want to revisit the presentation, you will be able to. Okay, thanks again, and I'll sign off for now.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.